Good day, YouTubers, and thank you for tuning in to the Day's very different video on YouTube. Today I'm actually going to be doing a toy review, but also I'm going to be talking about various subjects of light. And there's something very interesting tucked in the background I might have a look at. But I won't cover it fully until I cover that in a separate video. But first off, I'm going to talk about my mental health, and I'm going to track and progress and see what the hell has happened so far of late, because May has been one of the most traumatic months. And yes, to put this into perspective, the weather during July of 2024 has been absolutely terrible, whereas the mental health has been very bad during May. Yet, with the exception of the nice warm weather that we had back in, what was it, May of 2024, it was nice. Obviously, I'd hate to really convey and compare all of these scenarios into either of which, because all these stories that I might tell you may have a very grim effect, and that grim effect can unfortunately pass on to other people's generations. Seeing the way of just how traumatized I no longer am, but yet I am still getting signs of it, but I'm trying to do my best to not actually think about the trauma that has been going around for ages, and in the way that the trauma has played me up, has made me reject in the way I do things of late. And that's all I can really say, I'm afraid, because, obviously, I just can't take weather for granted these days, I'm afraid, because, with my mental health, I've got to think back to it at the same time, because, there's a lot of things that really say into my brain and say, why the hell should you just care about yourself when you've already got, the weather involved? Why should you care about the weather when you've got your mental health? That's probably one of the biggest karmas I've probably thought of, because, somehow when you're being influenced by other people in a very wrong way, that can potentially put you into jeopardy. And what I'm saying is that can potentially threaten your life and also threaten other people's lives too. That's all I'm saying. So yes, the trauma that I had back in May of 2024 on a relatively warm but also sunnier and possibly like a very mixed month, because we had lots of, I think May of 2024 was straightforward. It was quite wet, but it was also quite warm. But now looking into July of 2024, we're just stuck in this rut and it just won't move on. And I could probably say what's happening is that we've got very persistent and obstinate areas of low pressure. Yeah, very, what would you call it? Very pig-headed and very obstinate things. Stubborn is another way to describe them. It just doesn't want to move. It's just stuck, and it just doesn't want to move. Like, it won't go. I could probably just talk to the low pressure and the weather gods and just tell that bloody low pressure system to just come on, just clear off. I don't know. It's probably very hard to say. But apart from that, with the weather systems being a lot more intense and severe from other parts of the world, yeah, it almost somehow feels too good to just be too far enough. And that's somehow quite deep. Like, think about what happened in May of 2024 when you had a very traumatic month. I was actually very hyperly emotional. I could potentially watch some very bad horror films, and I could potentially kill myself and potentially consume Alka-Seltzer to my brain whenever I'm feeling depressed, or whenever I feel like that I'm just pretty much upset or angry because of other people who are also feeling that way. But what more can you say than just having that passionate feeling of just being, infuriated? And that's the part that I just really want to, just steer clear of. Look, I'm gonna lose, okay? Look at that. What more can I potentially say? And that's somehow a bit of a, a bit of a stumbling block. I just do not know how the hell am I just gonna, cope with my misery. And blimey, I nearly just dodged a bullet. Thank God for that somehow, because I'm just playing. Yeah, Dead, dead, dead. Okay. What happens if I do that? Oh, okay. Oh, I still lose. That's not great. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, I see what's happening here, eh? Yep. Nowhere to go, I'm afraid. No way, Jose. Let me just reset and play another game. Okay, reset this whole game. Yep. Why did I press it multiple times? Okay, let's reset again because that's very inaccurate. Okay, that's much more better. So, the trauma that I had back in May of 2024 was very intense. You know, in the very start of it, on the 1st of May, it was just a soft start. But then, of course, just onto the 3rd, it then started to become more edgier. And then on the 5th of May, it unfortunately started to become much more punchy and much more intense. And 1 week later, in fact, the stubbornness of the stress persisted. And what really happened was that I was getting signs that, yeah, because the 1st of May was a very rotten start in terms of my mental health, because someone said no, and I just got quite offended. For no other reason, because I think it was just conveying to a negative emotion. But yet again, I am one of these people who conveys in certain ways. You know, different people have different perspective, point of views, and you got to understand that not all people are the same, because we all want to just be very, you know, flexible enough, and to understand that while being flexible at the same time, you know, we've got lots and lots of different people in the universe, which sort of makes, you know, the one individual person feel very alienated. But yet again, hey, this is not the end of the world, because the world is still growing bigger, and, you know, it's bustling. It's getting busier, you know. That's all I can somehow potentially say. And obviously, yes, I know it peaked. I think it did peak around on the 10th or the 9th or the 8th. I think that was that week that unfortunately I was responsible for banging on the bus. Okay? And remembering, I don't want to try and share this. I know I could get arrested if I would have shared all of this information and stuff. Who knows? I would call the local police from the local West Midlands service and start to, you know, basically try and avoid talking over the same subject over and over and over again. It'll be a very crap way to do so on today's stupid YouTube. And remembering that I've just grown out of all of that stress, and I'm straightforward moving away from that kind of attitude, because, you know, it's not very good when you have that problematic behavior, and it can overall be very life threatening as time goes by. And look how good I'm playing 2048 on the phone, you know. Oops, sorry, that was the wrong move. But in terms of weather, what really surprised me was that it peaked. Well, obviously, I can't really tell about the stress, but the weather did peak so nicely. I think it was on. When was it? Was it on the 6th and the 7th of May? I can't really remember, because I don't want to talk about any events that led to stressful periods. Okay? I'm just being very wise and careful not to talk over the saddest of things of life, because, you know, it just nags me now, and also it does not help me. You know, back then I also watched a lot of horror related content. Okay, just remember that. So what I did was I watched a lot of Halloween sort of stuff, horror related stuff back then in May, so that was very eerie. And what that really happened was that it caused further damage to my YouTube channel, because it unfortunately, what really happened was that both mentally, but also, you know, that's straightforward what happened. Mind you, I just can't beat this game anymore. And I mean, I was very good at it, but look at this. I can't undo it again, but let's just reset. So, what really happened was that back in May of 2024, after the peak, when I got really mad after banging on the bus, I then started to calm down on Saturday, which felt much better. And then on I think I felt much more better because I was feeling like that. What really came into effect was that I was feeling rather much more okay-ish. And what happened was I didn't have that much, dynamicness of being supported. Uh, that was the main part, okay? So on Saturday, everything was all good. Strange enough, I just don't know what I'm really saying. Am I hearing things? I just hope there's no battery leakages and stuff. And actually, at the moment, it's already raining. And yes, no surprise. Look at the weather. Just how dumbass this weather is. Sorry I have to say that on YouTube these days, but look at that. Just look at the weather these days. It's just beyond terrible outside. Sorry if I swore in this video on YouTube because, it seems like that the effects of swearing have become very efficient and very effective, and it became more obvious as time progresses because I've just grown up into a much more mature adult. Hey? And hopefully it's not something else. I can't really tell if it's thunder or lightning because we're getting somewhat pretty showery rain outside, and in fact the rain is showering and hammering down nastily and gnarlily. That's going to pause all of my daily activities today somehow, and that's not quite good somehow. And that's the obvious factor when you have certain weather events that, there's your saying, rain stops play. And it's like that when you go ahead and play around and do some flipping tennis stuff, like when you go to Wimbledon. In fact, there's a Wimbledon match coming around, and there's one on Sunday and there's another one Monday, and everyone, unfortunately, it's going to be quite a pessimistic sort of week because, of the weather. But hey, weather-wise, just get the hell out of here and don't think about it. And somehow I would love to try and avoid just mentioning about the weather because I've just, thought of it as just something else and not officially wise, okay? So, who knows? Yeah, so I could do lots and lots of parts about my mental health because, although it was very sunny earlier on, yeah, it's just turned into a soggy sort of afternoon. I mean, what the hell am I going to do now with all this bloody wet weather? Just don't go outside. Out in the rain. It's just a misery. And of course, there's continuing on the weather that happened on the, well, let's just say, oh, sorry, I think I made a big mistake. It's this. Okay, so, yes, okay, so what really happened was that, yeah, I calmed down, but then I think what happened on later then, I think it was on, which Tuesday of May was it? I think it was on the 16th of May. I was feeling, well, unfortunately, I felt very, well, repressively depressed once more. So that happened again. And after that, there was all of a sudden there was a swing. Around every midnight, there seems to be a constant swing on my mood swings. Either to see how good or bad the way I felt. And I was feeling still rather pessimistic and a bit, skeptical at around Wednesday. And that was it. Sorry, I actually got interrupted by one of my support workers. I think I've dropped something. God damn it. My crikeys. Why the hell is my gameplay of, oh my god. It's been one of these days, isn't it? But don't worry. It's okay. Everything's A-okay. So as I'm making this silly little video on YouTube to prove that I'm not stuck in this rut of stress, obviously, there was another thing that was happening. Apart from the stress that was going on, all that strife that was happening at that time when it was, of course, on the 16th of May, I refused to go outside, so I did it independently because of the stress I had to build up with. I just couldn't do that, okay, so that was it. And then on the 17th, I felt much better than on the 18th. Well, I couldn't even tell, I think it was, hold up, I think it was, okay, the 14th of May, yes, I think it was the 14th of May that I felt rather recessively unhappy, of course. So actually, on the 13th of May, I felt much better. The 12th and the 13th of May, I felt much better, and then on, let's just say, the 15th, I can't really remember what feeling I had, but somehow it was something else. But overall, I felt a bit okay-ish. Man, don't know what to really say. I think I don't know. Maybe a little depressed or something. I can't really remember what to tell. And then on the 17th, I was feeling okay. And then I think on the 16th, I was okay. The 17th, well, get this. I was feeling very depressed. Because one, well, I was suffering from that moment. And two, my backyard garden was bloody destroyed. Okay? That was that part that was happening. And then after that, on the 18th of May, I felt much better. But then, yeah, I was a little skeptical. Okay, so I was a little skeptical. I think after that one, but not as skeptical as in, I would say less. I became like, let me just say, less skeptical than when I had to really face against back then on. Yeah, I was feeling less skeptical on what I had to feel during that May. I think it was on the later part of May. So I presume it was the 19th and the 20th of May, where I felt a little bit calmer and a little bit better off, nicer. Okay, so what really happened was I was feeling much better and much more nicer. So that was that part, and then don't know what to really say, but hey, that's somehow quite obvious. Yeah, it's just so sad. It's really sad when you talk about some of those things that are already from the past, but you're just trying to forget about it, and that's it. Not many words to say, but there's nothing much I can definitely say about. Yeah, I think there was some more stuff here that I can actually go ahead and relate to. Some more sad stuff has happened to me, like over around late May, of course. And really, what happened was that, I don't know. Well, I was very gutted that my backyard garden was destroyed. But then, thanks to me, and thanks, I think later on, as time progressed, onto the, progressively try to buy some flowers, like on the 8th. Oh my goodness me, on the 28th, I was just looking at the 24 numbers and stuff. I think it was on the 24th or the 23rd of May, I think it was. I bought a calendula flower, and it was a great prize. So much of so they later on cleared it away, and thank goodness it was all good in the hood. And really, somehow it was very nice. And I only wanted to give the garden a good chance so that I can build confidence wise, and also to improve my mental health, because that's almost like a story that I can just straightforward conclude to the part where the garden became my hero. And strangely enough, it became a nice new outdoorsy sort of venue in order for me to create stuff and to build an emporium of plants so that I can feel much better again. And somehow that should straightforward make things nicer for me and stuff. Somehow, hey, that should be quite good. And I don't know what else I could potentially say, because as I said earlier, the tail end of May was like a nice dawn of a new era for my backyard garden. And somehow my progress of creating my backyard garden wasn't totally lost. But anyways, as I'm completing my 24-8 game, yes, I did cry on the 2nd of June. And it wasn't just because there was a toddler crying outside, but it was all because I was actually crying about what happened back then on May. It was the trauma. Okay, so that coincided on the fact that I was feeling upset about the trauma. And that was almost like it. It was like a very interesting moment where I did that just as a way to designate that it's over. All all of that huffing and puffing of just being angry again is over. And that's my karma. That was my karma for feeling just that. But don't worry, everything is all sorted out. There's no physical changes. There's no changes that are negative. Everything is all being straightforward, tested to a new standard. And I'm actually glad and happy to know that while still stuck in a very crippling world, I'm still happy to be in a planet where everyone isn't too bad after all, in terms of like, setting people's differences aside, working together, and also sharing things of like, in order to get people understandable and how others feel. And that's it, game over. Anyways, enough mental health talk. Let's take a look at the weather. Well, okay, as you can see, the weather has been just rotten. You can definitely just see how terrible this is. And look at that, everyone's got their brollies and stuff. You can just see how terrible the rain has been like. I can hear a pigeon outside. And it's a showery rain sort of weather event, so not much I can really say, but it's a very bad day for going outside. As you can just see, the ground is all wet. It's all soggy, and that's not very good. Well, of course, yes, I'm actually going to be doing a toy review. Right, just as I initially thought I wasn't going to be doing this, this is what I've got. It's a Flip Out Origami Penguin Club World Humboldt Penguin First Fishing Swimming Lesson 12 pack. £16.99 or £17. There's the back of the packaging, which looks like that. I don't know what I can say about this obese looking penguin chick. There's almost nothing you can say, isn't it? Until we'll have a look and see what we've got. That's a nice picture of a Humboldt penguin. Nice. £16.99 or £17. Brilliant, fantastic price. Of course, I'm just going to unpack it and see what we've got. It's a bit of a remastered version that I've just made of a product that I've made back in 2021, I think it was. And it comes, but we've got more in the way of penguins and fish and squid. And it looks like the juvenile, it looks like the chicks have grown up. Let's take a look. Okay. So this is the juvenile penguin. Noticing there's a huge difference. They've got like those pink fleshing right over at the eye and the beak. So it makes them much more realistic compared to the previous models that I've just covered before on my YouTube channel of late. They're very, very nice and good. And if I show you the other one here, it looks quite good, but I think the eye is a little bit, yeah, it's not really great in paint job wise. So is the body of the whole penguin chick. It looks okay-ish, I think to say. And then we've got some squid. I don't know, to me, just how awesome these squids are. They look fairly fantastic and nice. And then we've also got some fish, which looks like they just keep on blending into like yellows and greens and other colours of light. Blimey, hell, man. They're very, very good products, as you can definitely see. And we've also got two of these adult Humboldt penguins, and they were almost quite difficult. And as you can see, there's the black band. This one's got a bit of a faded one. And this one here has got much more of a clear-ish looking blackish band right over at the neck, of course. Very distinctive. It's quite interesting. It's nice that they fully based it on the real Humboldt penguin species. Okay, it's a very nice design and nice inspiration. They've clearly taken inspiration from the real bird, more so than its predecessing models. It's nice. I love the details in it. The eyes look relatively nice and small. Fancy that. I love how everything's all contemplated together. You know, I can definitely feed that squid to the other chick, because it's only like that if mum and dad can bring home the bacon. Or in this case, regurgitate squid. Ho, look at that, hey? Sounds different, hey, to what I did back in 2021. But hey, it's a nice, fantastic remaster of what I did back then in 2021. 3 years later. In you go, penguins. Okay, and very, very nice. And we'll also get this one here. Okay, I think that's going to be probably about it throughout the rest of this whole video on YouTube. And with enough talk about the trauma that I had, and because of how time consuming this video has been live, I'm actually going to split it into 2 parts. For today, I might also do another video for tomorrow. So I'm going to take a break from filmmaking. And on that part, if you really enjoyed this video, please give this video a like, subscribe for more Flizzard videos in the future. And if you are really spooked about the trauma that I talked about in May, and also currently about the weather that's happening during July, well, I can definitely say this. Nothing is going to get worse, okay? My YouTube channel will straightforward live on without having the sake of just being in peril. Okay, thank you very much for watching again. And sorry for the utter serious note I need to put up here. But I need to do this just to reassure myself. And bye for now.